Cool. What's next?
Because what we have next is we have Angelo Lovato, who's come all the way from California just for this, right? Sure. That's not true. That's a lie. It's a lie on live TV. And Angelo's going to sing us a song he's been working on. So maybe we just give Angelo a little time to set up. And I think this is the first time there's ever been music played here, right, Philip? Nice. There's first times, and live streaming it directly into the blockchain. That's ever been done before? Music live streamed directly into the blockchain? Never been done here before?
Can I have this, right? To pick myself out. What is this? Do I put this somewhere, Chris?
Yeah, show it to the cameraman who can show it to the world. So this is to donate to you in Ethereum.
Why not?
Why not, indeed? Like, if you have any in the audience as well, Ethereum, then they're always looking for more.
I take euros to $1. Just kidding. But hello, my name is Angelo, and I'm gonna get set up here and put. I'm not that tall. Does that sound okay to y'all there? Should I start playing? I was gonna play a new song I'm working on, but I'm still working it out, so I'm gonna play something a little, I think something that might pertain more to this, hopefully, I don't know. Where we are, where we stand, is it hard for us to realize we're changing? Where we are, where we stand, it's a long way down to fall, and still we're tumbling, and we're buried in the sand, and still you're running. Please help me see, 'cause baby, you're all I need, and I'm on my way back to the beat of my heart. And here we are, this foreign land. Is it time for us to recognize this feeling? And there you are, child, take my hand. The stars are dangling high, the moon is stealing, and it's stalling on the wheel, and still you're spinning. I'm on my way back to the beat of my heart. Who we are, no, it never ends. Ain't it good to know there's life beyond the dreaming? It's who we are, can't you understand? They're tearing down the wall, the sky's burning, and they're shouting in the hall, the tide is turning. Please help me see, 'cause baby, you're all I I'm on my way back to the beat. I'm on my way back to the beat. We are on our way back to the beat of our heart. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, LivePeer, and Doug and Chris.
Thank you, Angelo.
Should I,
Very nice.
Can I pop this?
Okay, so coming up next, we have the founder of livepeer.tv himself, Mr. Doug B. Petcanix.
All right, hey everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight to the livepeer meetup. Thanks, Chris and Philip, for planning. Philip for hosting. Thanks, Angelo, for coming to play. It's great to have such creative, talented people who are interested in this project. It's one of the reasons that we're building livepeer, because we think live streaming really can be this great, empowering, equalizing force for creative people to get their messages out to the world, to connect with their audience, to own their content. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I'm going to talk a lot about what livepeer is, and a lot of what livepeer is has to do with technology and infrastructure. So this will be a little bit more of a technical talk focused on blockchain, Ethereum, and video infrastructure, and then I'll kick it over to Chris, who will be able to talk more about livepeer TV and content and users and applications that can exist on top of livepeer. So let's see, I had a remote, but we'll go without it. I was going to do a demo. The demo is happening live. We're streaming this to livepeer.tv. Hopefully lots of people are watching it. You guys can bookmark livepeer.tv. You can leave it open in a browser tab. A lot of talented people kind of duck in and do performances, songs, talk about technology, talk about blockchain. So it's a fun kind of test application for now that's going to grow into something much bigger and much more powerful in the future. Cool. So what is livepeer? livepeer is video broadcasting infrastructure. What it lets anyone do is broadcast a video into the livepeer network, and anyone who's running the livepeer software is basically contributing their computing power and their bandwidth to encode and distribute those videos into all the formats necessary to reach unlimited users on every possible device type. And it's all done in a peer-to-peer way. It's decentralized. You don't have to trust any company or central party. And a lot of the incentives and security that make this possible is built on the Ethereum ecosystem. So can I just get a show of hands who here is familiar with Ethereum? A lot of people. For those of you who are not, Ethereum is a blockchain-based platform. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to deploy a program or an application that will run exactly as written on all of the computers on the Ethereum network around the world, such that you don't need to trust any counterparty, any central company, any individual to run your program. It'll behave exactly as it's deployed. And that becomes really powerful because you can actually embed all sorts of incentives into these applications. People can earn money if they play certain roles in these networks. And in our case, if you contribute your computing power and your bandwidth and your kind of expertise, and we'll get into that later, you'll earn the money that's paid by broadcasters in order to use this video infrastructure. So my talk will get into how that works and why that may be interesting. So just quick background on video. I'm sure you're all familiar with different streaming services like YouTube, Periscope, Snapchat, YouNow, services like Twitch for gaming. Live video is growing like crazy. Everyone's walking around with a mobile phone with a video camera in their pocket. Everyone is a potential broadcaster. And all of these existing broadcasting platforms are potential users of livepeer's infrastructure. Because again, what livepeer is it's just this network that exists that anyone can use to power all their video encoding and their video distribution. And because it's peer-to-peer and decentralized, there's lots of potential advantages, including cost, but reducing single point of failure, censorship resistance, and others. So while all these existing kind of big companies are interesting, and that might be, it might drive a lot of kind of usage of the livepeer network in the future, I'm actually more excited about some of the use cases which were not possible without a decentralized system. So go to the next slide. So these are things that are really only possible with the use of kind of blockchain technology and decentralization and the incentives. So for example, one thing we can be really powerful with is uncensorable live journalism. A lot of times in an area of conflict or crisis, live video is one of the first things to get cut off through services like, Facebook or YouTube. Anything that may be considered controversial or potentially go against terms of service or even go against advertisers' wishes may be one of the first things to get shut down. But if you want like the truth about what's going on the ground in real time to get out there, peer-to-peer is actually a much more robust solution. If something's being broadcast through a centralized network, you can cut it off through DNS, you can cut off the server. In a peer-to-peer network where you're passing video around to one another, there's no single point of failure to cut off. I'm excited about cryptocurrency being deeply embedded in a video platform. It allows use cases like pay-as-you-go content consumption, whether that be for expert networks like Doctor on Demand or telepsychiatry, or paying anyone with a skill or a trade for their expertise as they go. Or it can be for entertainment. It can be for any number of use cases that really allow people to monetize their time without access to the traditional payment rails, credit cards, banks, accounts, services. And livepeer.tv is kind of working towards that vision alone. On the technical side, livepeer's infrastructure solves a big problem for people who have large audiences, which is scaling and handling spikes in capacity. So a lot of times streamers, their traffic looks like this until a very popular event, and then their traffic looks like this for 10 minutes, and then it comes back down to here. So in a centralized network, if you're running your own infrastructure, you need to pay to provision enough servers to handle this spike, even though most of the time you're just using this amount of traffic. And it can be very expensive or just very technically challenging to scale. Whereas with livepeer, you can just pay as you go into the network to use whatever capacity you require. It's all market pricing. And finally, we talked about Ethereum before. Ethereum, other Web3 solutions like Filecoin and Swarm, identity solutions like Uport, all these decentralized infrastructure projects create something called Web3. It's kind of the next phase of the internet, the decentralized internet. And all those projects kind of solve different problems: file storage, compute, identity. livepeer is one of these infrastructure projects, and we say that we're the live streaming layer in the Web3 stack. So if you actually are building a decentralized application and you want to include video, livepeer is your infrastructure solution. Cool, so these are some of the use cases. So real quick background to get into the technology. The way video streaming works today is that a broadcaster from their camera, their phone, their laptop webcam sends video to what's called a media server. And a media server is something that's familiar with all of the complexities of video technology. It knows all the formats, the codecs. It might have features like DRM, closed captioning, DVR, all sorts of stuff. And then once a media server encodes a video into all the different formats and bit rates to reach all the devices at different connection speeds, it needs to distribute that content to all the users who want to consume it, thousands or millions of users. And for that, we use a layer called a content delivery network, a CDN. And what CDNs do is they put computers all around the world in thousands of locations, and they copy the video into all of those locations so that when you request a video, it can be served from a server near you. Similarly, it might store the video for playback later. And then the CDN serves the video out to mobile phones, laptops, smart TVs, etc. So in this world today, these components are centralized and they're often closed source and proprietary. They're owned by companies who have put a lot of work into doing the complex engineering to make them work, and then they charge a lot of money for the usage of them. It can be up to $3 per stream per hour to use a cloud service to broadcast video before bandwidth, or it could be a $5,000 licensing fee to license a media server and run it on your own infrastructure for like Adobe Professional. So very expensive. So what we want to do is we want to replace all of this in the middle, the next slide, with Web3, which again is this set of technologies that are building kind of the decentralized, trustless, and open source versions of these technologies where there is no company that's charging a margin or a markup. Instead, it's decentralized networks that you're paying into at market price or with cost advantages. And we'll get into some of those. So livepeer provides some of the solutions in this decentralized internet cloud, but other services like Ethereum and Swarm and Filecoin and Truebit and lots of great projects provide different layers of this. So that's how streaming works today. So if we want to decentralize it, how do we do that? We have to do three things. So the first is we have to build an open source media server that anyone can contribute to and that anyone can run, rather than a proprietary one that you have to license from Wowza or Adobe. The second thing you have to do is you have to actually incentivize people to run it. Why would you give up your compute and your bandwidth to run this media server? So that's where we have to embed kind of crypto token based incentives that run on the Ethereum blockchain. And then finally, we have to build the security to make sure that if random people around the world are encoding and distributing your video, how do we make sure that they don't insert malicious frames of content, illegal content? How do we make sure that they're actually doing the work that you're paying them to do with encoding and distribution? Because with a central company, that's actually easy. If they cheat or steal your money, you sue them or you stop doing business with them, and their reputation is on the line. Whereas in an anonymous, decentralized, open network, it's much harder to hold a random computer halfway around the world accountable for that. So we use blockchain-based security protocol to ensure that. So I'm going to talk about some of the technical details of these things. Does anyone have any questions so far? Yes.
How do you prevent yourself becoming the live leak of Web3 or even worse, content being streamed on your platform?
Okay, so this is about preventing illegal content from being streamed on the platform. Good question. So at the protocol level, livepeer is just about moving bits around an open network, the same way the internet protocols like HTTP and TCP are just about moving bits. And there's no way to potentially identify or discriminate on what those videos are. But at the application level, anyone who builds an application on livepeer that helps people discover and surface videos, the same sort of content moderation solutions apply that would apply in a centralized world. And I think it's a big opportunity in the decentralized space for someone to design and build a decentralized moderation protocol that protocols can plug into natively without relying on a company or a trusted person to do it. Similarly, our media server has block lists and allow lists that would let anyone running a node block certain addresses or pieces of content if they were flagged or reported or they pulled it from a service. So, cool. All right, I'll press on and then we can get back to more questions. So, real quick on a media server, I mentioned media servers. They're familiar with the full video stack. They transcode, transrate, and transmux the video, which means one video comes in, but to be playable on smart TVs, phones, laptops, 3G connections, LTE connections, high-speed broadband connections, you might need to convert that one video into 24 different streams to be served out to different players. And media servers for live context are great at doing that fast in real time and handle all the input and output with video. So we have an open source media server called LPMS. If there's any video engineers in the house. We take contributions and looking for people to help work on that as well. So that's kind of the first thing that we built, and that's on GitHub. So how do we incentivize people to run this? And this might be a good thing to come back to for questions later. But how many people have heard of proof of work? It's the way Bitcoin is mined, right? So how many people have heard of proof of stake? About the same. So proof of stake replaces burning electricity and computing algorithms to mine blocks and secure a blockchain with basically putting down a security deposit to produce blocks on a blockchain. And then if you cheat, your deposit is taken away. So we use a similar mechanism called delegated proof of stake, where instead of everyone running transcoders, running the media server on their laptops, which wouldn't be very good because you don't want your laptop sitting in between, this live stream and, thousands of users downstream on the internet. You might not have enough bandwidth. You might not have a GPU. It's really, you need kind of significant resources to run a media server for live video. So what we do is we let everyone participate by electing whoever they think is going to do the best job of encoding and distributing video. And everyone who wants to be one of these transcoders advertises the prices they're going to charge. They advertise all their statistics of how they've done in the past are viewable on the blockchain. So have they ever cheated in their transcoding? Have they ever been penalized? Have they not showed up to do the work that was assigned to them? So that's all visible. And the way that the livepeer protocol works is if you are elected to be one of these active transcoders and you encode and distribute video, you earn livepeer token. It's a cryptocurrency token. People use these token to elect you essentially to delegate towards you. And if you do the work honestly, you as a transcoder advertise what percentage of the fees you're going to share back to them. So it's a lot of detail. It's a lot to get into. But basically, anyone who holds token and participates in electing good performing transcoding nodes in the network earn some of the fees that flow through the platform. And basically, by doing that, everyone is long-term incentivized for this network to be really useful, really cheap, really performant, so that there's a lot of usage, so that a lot of fees flow through the platform, and so that it's high quality. And we can come back to questions and discussion. You have one now?
Yeah, how do I know which node is capable enough as a normal user?
So good question. So the question was, how do I know which node is capable enough as a normal user? One is you can see all the statistics about how they've done in the past. And the second thing is it actually is quasi-social. So they campaign, they post a forum post about what kind of hardware they're running, who they are. Maybe they've made contributions to the livepeer ecosystem, and you would essentially delegate some stake towards them in order to award them, but you'd also be looking out for yourself, because I didn't get into the details, but they all advertise what price am I charging per segment of video, and what % of my rewards am I going to share back to you if you elect me. And you'll see if they ever cheat or get penalized, and we'll talk about how that works. And then if they get penalized, you would get penalized as well, and you'd probably move away from them towards someone who hasn't been penalized. So this is similar to systems like Steemit or Cosmos, which use delegated proof of stake, and many others as well. Cool. All right. We can always discuss more of this later. It's all published in kind of the livepeer white paper. Real quick, a note about how this network can be cheaper than traditional networks. So in a centralized network, let's say this is a company. The company has some cost to run their media servers. They have to charge you as a broadcaster at least that cost plus a margin in order to make money, right? So if that cost is $10, they have to charge at least $10, maybe more. So in a decentralized network, the nodes that are doing the work, the transcoder nodes, they have the same cost, $10 to encode a bunch of video. So they have to make at least $10. But if they do the work honestly, they're going to earn some new inflationary token rewards, kind of the same way people earn Bitcoin if they mine Bitcoin, or Ethereum if they mine Ethereum. So whatever the value of that token that they're earning is, I'm going to make it up. The market will determine it, not me, but let's say that's worth $3. That means that they only have to charge a broadcaster $7 in order to break even. And this is interesting. So a good question is, why would that token that they're earning be worth anything? Why would it be worth $3? What you see in these cryptocurrency systems is, for better or worse, the effect of speculation, the effect of people speculating on what the value of token may be in the future, gives it that price. If they're earning token and it can be sold on an exchange right that moment for $3 because someone believes it is, that offsets the price that needs to be charged to cover their costs. So that's really powerful. A lot of people think we're in a cryptocurrency bubble and these prices are unsustainable, and of course they may be, but the upside of that is actually the more speculation there is in the early days, the cheaper broadcasting can be. It's like if you're going to earn $100 of token if you do this transcoding work correctly for a couple hours worth of streaming, you don't have to charge a broadcaster anything to use the platform because you're making more money through the kind of the speculative growth of this network. And of course, over the long term, you need real usage, real value to catch up. But there's an interesting flywheel that occurs. So if you have cheap broadcasting in the beginning, that creates demand for broadcasters. I said broadcasters pay a lot of money to broadcast right now. So demand for broadcasters actually means more fees flowing through the network, more perceived value of the token because there's more usage, it's growing, there's more things built on this platform. So if there's perceived value of the token, well, there's more competition to earn it by running those transcoding nodes that can encode and distribute a lot of videos really cheap. So that means people run better hardware, more hardware. They get economies of scale. And you see this in Bitcoin mining. Like the most efficient hardware and use of electricity in the world is a result of the competition to mine this valuable token of Bitcoin. Because people have better hardware and more bandwidth and can do it more cheaper, that feeds back to the beginning of the cycle, which kind of kicks the whole thing going again. So this is how you achieve scale, and you actually create a huge peer-to-peer network that now has hopefully thousands or millions of stakeholders, contributors who are all invested, who now all have the incentives to contribute to an open, decentralized ecosystem rather than a closed, proprietary media server that just a single company owns. Is that clear? Does anyone have questions on that? Yes.
So the transcoder's role is equivalent to the media server role, the decentralized role. So what's the CDN role then in this decentralized model?
Very good question. So the question was, transcoders kind of they run the media server, and the question is, what is the CDN role? So that's the content delivery. How does video get distributed to many people? So first of all, anyone who runs the software is on a peer-to-peer network, and they're all essentially relaying video around. That's where we are today. And the protocol only indirectly incentivizes serving the video by the fact that, okay, I'm a transcoder, I'm making money through this. This network is only useful if I actually serve the video out, right? On our roadmap is to build a peer-to-peer CDN. And these exist right now, but they're closed and proprietary. They're really powerful. That means if you're all watching video, you're live streaming, you're using some of your bandwidth to pull the video down, but you also have peer connections, maybe 15 connections to other people watching the video, and you're using some of your bandwidth to serve it to them. And these peer-to-peer CDNs have been shown to take like 97% of the bandwidth off of an origin CDN, which is a huge cost savings. But they're being done kind of closed, proprietary. They're still charging broadcasters for the bandwidth that's being streamed, even though they're not providing it, their users are, and there's no flow of value or compensation back to the users who are providing their bandwidth. So in this decentralized blockchain world, we can solve that with tokens. Value can flow to you if you're giving your bandwidth to people who are requesting the video from you. So I think we're going to see a huge change, not just from livepeer, but in the whole kind of internet stack over the next 5 or 10 years, where, you know, you leave your computer on and you're using resources when you're streaming video or when you're using applications or using bandwidth, and, you know, your bill is kind of racking up. Your token balance that you're paying to use that is racking up. But at the same time, you're also sharing resources back. And for there, you're earning value from networks. So you see these things in like electricity grids, where if you have solar panels and you sell electricity onto the grid, you make money. But if you buy from the grid, you lose money. Well, I think we're going to see that in a decentralized world where all value is going to flow around the system through machine-to-machine tokens that users don't even need to be aware of or care about. And at the end of the month, they have some balance that I think will be a lot cheaper than what their balance might be today through, paying for a 8 gigabyte data plan on your cell phone, but you only use 2 gigabytes or something. I think it's better if things are more efficient and you pay as you go. So, cool. So it's running a little long. Just last kind of key point is, how do we make sure people did the work honestly? And that's where we use the Ethereum blockchain. And the short version of this is, when you want to broadcast a video, tell the blockchain, I want to broadcast a video. That'll assign transcoders to do the encodings for you. And using cryptography, after transcoders encode the video, they put a transaction on the blockchain to commit to the work that they did. They use something called a Merkle root and a Merkle proof, which is used in Ethereum and other systems to basically commit to work that you did. Our protocol then randomly challenges certain segments of video. Did you encode this correctly? Is the output video the same as the input video? Or did you insert, random frames or blank output? We use a system called TrueBit and Swarm, which are awesome projects built on Ethereum for storage and for verification of work, just to check the work that they did on a random piece of video. And if they passed, the transcoder gets paid. And if they don't pass, the transcoder gets penalized, they lose a deposit, the broadcaster gets refunded, the transcoder's reputation gets dinged, they get taken out of the active pool, they lose their job, the people who elected them or delegated them get penalized. And all of that logic is encoded in the livepeer protocol in smart contracts running on the Ethereum blockchain. So that's how kind of the incentives and enforcement work. Yep.
In terms of scalability, so let's say this scales to maybe half the size of YouTube in the next couple of years. What kind of challenges are you guys looking at when using the Ethereum blockchain? And how will you address that with time?
Yeah, great question. So the question is, how will we deal with scaling based on the challenges of the Ethereum blockchain? So right now, the Ethereum blockchain has been full lately. Popular apps like CryptoKitties and decentralized exchanges have really pushed it to its capacity. And that either makes it expensive or hard to get transactions through. So the good news about livepeer is that the only transaction that needs to happen synchronously is the first transaction to say, I'm going to broadcast a video, I have a job. And as soon as that gets confirmed, everything happens off-chain. Transcoders get assigned, video flows to them, people can consume and watch the video. Then the whole protocol about proving that you did the work correctly, getting paid or getting penalized, verifying it, that's all asynchronous. That can happen later, it can happen slowly. So you can pay very low fees in order to take your time and let those transactions go through. Similarly, this scales with the number of live streams and not necessarily with the number of viewers. So if you think about how many concurrent live streams are being started at any one time, the number's not astronomical to the portion where even if you're at the size of YouTube, that's not going to take down the Ethereum blockchain. But there's all sorts of scaling solutions we look at and can use in the future, running on private chain with a plasma-style architecture that commits to the main chain, using off-chain micropayments instead of this like interactive protocol, can reduce transactions. I'm so happy to discuss that a little bit more later. Cool. All right, so I'll wrap up now. Just a quick project status. livepeer is live on a testnet. We've been working on it for a little over a year now. We're streaming on the testnet right now on livepeer.tv. So yeah, like I said, bookmark that in a browser tab, leave it open. You'll see lots of people here creating lots of good content. Anyone can stream. You can stream a video on the testnet right now from your phone, and anyone else on the network, if you shared the stream ID with them, could request it and watch it. The way livepeer.tv works is we're hosting some gateway nodes that are pulling in and serving at that URL. So that's like the evil centralized hosting access point, but the video is on the network decentralized, and that anyone could access it using its ID. And then eventually we can, of course, host this via fully decentralized apps that don't rely even on centralized DNS infrastructure. If you want to get involved, like I said, broadcast a video, run a node, join our testnet. Find us on our chat room, gitter.im/livepeer. We're all there, hanging out all day, happy to help anyone getting started. And it's a community project with people all around the world, so open to everyone. Cool, that's it. Thank you very much. Yeah. Next.
Angelo's going to sing us another song.
All right, we got one more song. Sorry.
I don't know much, but this is one of those things. I mean, I'm an artist. I'm trying to get into more of this kind of the mind stuff. That's the right way to put it. But I feel like it's really cool to be here. I think it's like one of those things where it's like Steve Jobs or something, or Jeff Bezos. They had their little office or something. I told Chris, I feel like this is the beginning of something pretty huge. So yeah, I don't know. I should plug in. All right, this is called Miracle on the Hudson. Thank you. The bitter souls, they say it just isn't true. There's nothing good on the news. It was a cold New York morning on that flight. The birds were flying in the sky. I know some odd 100 miles away, a country prepares for change. You can hear them when they sing. And it's feeling all so strange, and nothing's gonna be the same. And even if you don't believe in these things, there was a miracle on the Hudson today. And the millions, they will come from all around, see the changing of this crown. And not so far away there once stood a king, and he told the story of his dream. And they hailed him a hero, and they'll hail him a saint, pilot to this vessel lost in space. And the lonely savior shows his face. I feel grace. Oh, I look around and it's feeling all so strange. Nothing's gonna be the same. And even if you don't believe in these things, there was a miracle on the Hudson today. There was a miracle. There was a miracle. The lonely
wounded Savior shows his face. I feel the grace. No, I look around and it's feeling now so strange. Nothing's gonna be the same. And even if you don't believe in these things, it was a miracle on the Hudson today. It was a miracle on the Hudson today. It was a miracle on the Hudson today. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Chris.
Okay. Okay, nice. Give me a second while I get some new slides up. Okay, it's up. Very nice. And we're on camera. We're on camera one, Anton. Are we on camera one? Wow. So many computers going on here, and so many cameras, and so many people, but like it's working. Nice. Okay, so thank you, Angelo. Round of applause for Angelo. Great to have a little bit of culture going on in this. This is all very nice. Well done. Very nice. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a project that's based here in Berlin. Coming up next on livepeer.tv, a little bit about what is livepeer.tv. I'm going to talk a bit about the concept of television in general. Like many people tell me TV is dead, but I say long live TV. We're going to talk a little bit about new commercial models for TV, and also about the community space we have in Berlin for livepeer and livepeer.tv, community space, studio, and the people that are involved in it, and a bit of time for questions at the end. So let's get started. So a little bit about what is livepeer.tv. So it's like point number one, it's the next evolution of a project I started about 9 months ago called Berlin Live TV. And this was off the back of, I'd been traveling for 2 years with no internet, and I came back and suddenly realized that smartphones in our pockets are full broadcasting studios. We're all broadcasters now. You can just go to Facebook, YouTube Live, press a button, broadcast to anyone in the world who wants to watch, and you can broadcast yourself or broadcast whatever you're doing. And this gave me some inspiration to think about, what is what I have this power now. What do I want to do with it? What do I want to make with this broadcasting? Everyone's still alive over there? Okay, good to know. Good to know. So being in Berlin, where I see so much creativity and media and culture and everything happening, people singing, making music in the street, making art, I thought to myself, I will start to share some of the stuff that's happening here live with the world. This was Berlin Live TV. I started with a smartphone, just live streaming stuff happening in the parks or in gigs that my friends were playing at. And then it developed a little bit more into some more substantial things with cameras and laptops and live streaming. And this is just the latest evolution. So one of the key things that I'm really focusing on with livepeer.tv is to use as much as I can open systems for my broadcasting, for my live streaming. One of the important things for me about this is it gives me a platform to be able to innovate. Like, broadcasting through YouTube is nice and it's a stable platform and it's working, but there's no real scope for me to say, hey, I want to do something crazy with video. I want to do something different, because it's like locked down, closed system within the world of YouTube, within the world of Facebook, that doesn't give me like a creative freedom to be able to innovate. And it also like limits other people from being able to innovate. So from my perspective, like finding livepeer and finding the livepeer project like I did in like March, April time last year was a godsend. And starting to be able to use and work with them to help build this new decentralizing platform that Doug was talking about is super cool. So another thing about livepeer.tv is it's a TV channel, in case you hadn't guessed. But also there's like a community element to it as well. It's a TV channel by us, for the world. And it's also, sometimes I talk about it as a DAO. Who here knows what a DAO is? Okay, not so many people. So a DAO is decentralized autonomous organization. So decentralized, it's not running through a central point. Autonomous is it works on its own. And an organization is like, it has some kind of semblance of structure and organization to it so that stuff happens. So this is a little bit how I think about what I'm trying to do with livepeer.tv. So some people say to me, Chris, why are you making TV? TV is dead. And first, like sometimes I'm a purist with these things, and I take a step back and say, what actually is television? You know, what is the concept? You know, people think of TV as being the TV set like this, or TV is like something that the government runs, or is cable, or it's Sky, or it's Fox, or whatever it may be. But like in its purest form, TV is just like taking images from one place and sound from one place and playing them somewhere else. So I kind of feel like live streaming is TV. So I'm sticking with the TV name. But it also, like when people say to me, Chris, why are you making TV? It also makes me realize that we have, with all the blockchain and the innovation and the new concepts coming, we have an opportunity, all of us, to redefine what we want to watch on TV. Like, who here watches TV? Nobody. Awesome. Oh, okay. Doug sometimes watches TV at home with his wife, right? Okay. So I kind of taking this opportunity to define, you know, when it comes to TV and the people who are watching TV, what is it we want to show them? Like, what is it we have the opportunity to say? What is it, like, let's show them something cool. So in terms of like principles of what we work with livepeer.tv, one is like trying to get towards a peer-to-peer funding model and also peer-to-peer connection. So for this I mean like the person creating the content connected to the person who's watching the content, and like having communication flow between them, live, real time. Like Angelo, when you're playing on stage and you have an audience with you, it's great when the crowd starts playing back with you and you're kind of like, yeah, so there you go. So trying to get some kind of semblance of live streaming and an interaction with the audience. And like part of me also feels that when we have this kind of independence from big closed platforms or from platforms funded by advertising models, we have way more creative freedom to be able to put out there what we want. We know we're not going to get censored by YouTube. We know that we can make some magic stuff happen with small teams of people. We don't need big organizations. We don't need the BBC. We don't need all these like huge, great buildings with people having meetings. We just need 3 or 4 people who know what they're doing to make cool stuff happen and live stream it. It's new principles of TV. The last piece is around how we go about funding all this. And like we're still in the really early days of working out commercial models. We're doing some testing. I'll talk about that in a second. But the target is all around like pay as you go, peer-to-peer. If you're watching something, you have the opportunity to pay directly to the people who are creating it, cutting out all the middlemen, peer-to-peer with digital currencies. But I think I'm coming on to talk about that in a second. I think I've touched upon this already a little bit. More power to the creators, more kind of freedom to express what they want, and opens up new opportunities for monetization. So like a little bit more about some of the work we're doing around commercial models for TV. So like this whole cryptocurrency craze that I think probably is like driving a lot of people to come here and things like this. For me, I see as like a huge opportunity to just redefine a whole heap of commercial models in the world of how business gets done, how value flows around the system. And I feel like we're in a position where we can really experiment, try new things, try new ideas. Like, I work with a lot of creative people, and often they're stuck in the mindset of, well, I need to do something to make the advertisers happy because that's where the money comes from the advertising. And it's like, it's possible now to get the money direct from the people who are consuming the content that you're creating. So right now we're working on a system where we can take donations, and Angelo's QR code is a prime example of this. And we've had a few people. Hold that longer. Sorry, sir. There you go. Can you let me know on the live stream when you scanned it already? You scanned it now? Great, thanks. And strangely, we've actually started to have people donate money. Like, we haven't publicized this at all, but money is starting to flow through this system, through the Ethereum network. So this is kind of nice. It's like there's a trickle of cash coming in our direction. You know, if we keep doing this, maybe it will turn into a river, and then things will start getting really interesting. Next phase around kind of commercial models is around trying to make it easier for people to pay. So we have some ideas around mobile applications and integration in the browser with MetaMask and the different systems that for kind of managing Ethereum. Just to make it like, instead of a 10-click process to give money, it's like a 2-click or even a 1-click process to just say, pay, tip this artist, give money to this person because they're cool. I've got money, I've got Ethereum. There's, how much is it these days, Ksenia? $100 billion of Ethereum floating around the world at the speed of light. Like, it's electricity. It's at the speed of light. But yeah, okay. But the target, and this is kind of, for me, the nirvana state, is some kind of live digital media exchange. And like, by that I mean really purely and simply, I am sending you digital value in the form of nice pictures, nice sound, nice stuff happening. In real time, you are sending me digital value in the form of some kind of cryptocurrency. I don't know which one yet, and I don't know exactly how it will work, but I feel like we're close to a world where this kind of thing can exist. If anyone wants to help me, then let's get involved. Okay, this is an example of some of the experimenting I've been doing. This got me in trouble, okay, with some of my artist friends. And yeah, so it's kind of like using new things. Like when we're streaming, sometimes we cut to this frame. And a little bit is to kind of provoke and kind of help people to understand that like some of the content we're making, it's made for by people who need to go and do something other than play the piano in order to fund their lives. They love playing the piano. This is what gives them like electricity through their body, right, Victoria? And but sometimes they have to go and do like shitty jobs that they don't want to do to fund themselves, when I would argue that the stuff that they do that they really love is something that is of value to the world. Someone somewhere in the world would definitely get a lot of value in watching Victoria play piano. So this is the kind of world I'm moving towards. But then I changed today something a little bit less cutting, but just like CryptoKitties, really? People are paying? Who knows what CryptoKitties are? Okay, so for people who don't know, it's like people spending how much? Like $100,000 worth of Ethereum to buy pictures of digital cats.
Okay. But the thing is, like, you can make your cat.
I know you can make your cats. Of course, I understand what CryptoKitties are. Well, let's talk about this later, but it's the latest craze in the Ethereum like creative world. You can breed digital cats online, and it costs Ethereum to do it. So my call to the community is stop wasting your money on digital cats. Give it to the people who are making live performances, making beautiful magic art happen in real time and live streaming it on the blockchain. Please. Okay, a little bit about the community space. So this has been going maybe 2 weeks. 2 weeks since we found a space. So it's Reichenberger Straße. It's meant as like, I think almost the European hub for livepeer, community space. Like primarily it will probably be Berlin people coming, so you are all welcome. Everybody in Berlin, everyone who's not in Berlin, also welcome. And the main focus around this space is to connect like the latest in technology, innovation, with the latest in culture and creativity. So it's amazing to see this place kind of evolve, but it's like people developing software in kind of one place and people using cameras and playing pianos in another place. And like we're all working in the same community to connect new tech with innovative performance. And it's also a lot of fun. So here's the address, Reichenberger 155, 5 minutes to Cotti. You are all welcome. Come and create with us. Nice. And yeah, here's a little bit of a detail of it as well. Here's the stuff about stop wasting your money on crypto kitties. It's a super nice. Yeah, all right, Angelo, you've been here performing. There's a piano that Victoria plays regularly. So please come and join. And there's even a kitchen where we can cook some food. Okay, I want to talk now a little bit about the people who are involved in community so far. I guess this is kind of the corpus of livepeer TV in Berlin. I'm going to start with the man on the camera over here. Say hi, Anton. Say hi. 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 So as you can see, he's been the man like playing with this monopod and camera all evening and making the pictures look nice that we send out to the world. Hopefully he's making me look good as well. Is it working, Anton? You're making me look okay. So cinematographer, videographer, here are his contact details. Here is a QR code for his Ethereum if anyone wants to donate Ethereum to him. Hooray, nice, okay. Matteo, who we saw talking earlier on about the natural language processing work, he's also doing a lot of work around sound engineering. He's also a very talented musician himself, and is just generally helping set up the studio space and is a good pair of hands to have around. There's his QR code if you want to give him some Ethereum. Victoria Priester, who's the lady over here, currently grappling with the camera. But her responsibility tonight is to make sure that the sound is captured from the room and we're broadcasting the really nice sound quality out to the world. Here are her details. She got a new Twitter handle today, Vic Priest. Follow her so she has followers. Roland, I won't spend too much time talking about Roland, but he's not here tonight. He's in Switzerland, but he's a very talented violinist. He inspires me because he started playing violin when he was 4 years old. And now he's 39. So he's like had 35 years. That's maybe longer than many of you in the room have been breathing. He's playing violin. So he's really good at it. And he's been really inspirational, keeping the energy going with performance and with music. So I wanted to give a thanks to him. Okay, so how can you get involved? Like, really broadly speaking, just come and join community in Berlin. At the very least, we'd like studio audience now and again to kind of provide a bit of atmosphere, and you can watch the magic unfold. We've had some really innovative, some would say crazy performances going on that we've been live streaming as well. Also, you can watch on livepeer.tv. We're streaming now still, hopefully. It's still working, Doug? You built as a nice protocol to stream on. Yeah, it's hung a little. Okay, never mind. Let's see if it comes back. Collaborative creation, so like come and if you're a camera person or musician or performing art, or you have anything that you think we can stream live to the world that people would be interested in watching, then come, let's talk. Promotion and publicity, like I don't like to do this so much. I try to focus on the quality of the content and quality of what we're making and hope that it just speaks for itself, but I'm also aware that there's value in promoting and publicizing. It's just not my skill set. Mobile app development. A lot of the stuff we're watching tonight is like through a browser, and you can go to livepeer.tv and load up the URL. But one thing we want to do next is just make a really simple mobile app where you press the button and it turns on the TV. Super simple. No username, no password, no login, no Facebook details, no whatever. Just like simple, turn on the TV. So this is something that we're working towards. And also, if you have any crazy ideas on how we can use this whole crypto craze as ways of getting funding through the system, like we're a startup TV channel. Come play with us and join. Okay, last bit. I love being asked questions. Big smiley face. This is me. I'm Chris Hopcroft. Here's the address for where to come for the community space. Any questions? Angelo, you have a question.
This is something we talk about more after, but I think I mentioned to you. I have the thing on the 9th, the Muso, where it's like a house show that my friend hosts. And she goes, I'm playing and a couple other musicians are playing.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And we're looking for a space.
Uh-huh.
It's in Berlin. Like my flat we were thinking about, but it's too far outside of the ring.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we could talk about that. The place is
So this is on the 9th of February in Berlin. You need a space. Okay, that's also my birthday, so you want to come and play for my birthday party? Cool. Deal is done. Done. Okay. No more questions? Thank you all for coming. It's been very nice to see you all. Okay. I think it's time for Victoria to do her song.
Hi, so as you noticed, there is no piano here. So I started to play ukulele also recently just because of that reason that there's almost nowhere piano. And I want to say that in our room, in our place where we are live streaming and doing music concert and music shows, we have a piano, which is amazing. So anyone like me can play. And should I also say that we are doing tomorrow like kind of a music night? So it's on a Reichenbergerstrasse 155, and we're doing live music sound night. We're gonna have who's playing? Matteo is playing, right? We're gonna have a guy who calls himself Night Gardener, and I might perform also like a little bit with my punk ukulele project with effects and looper and just stuff like that. Yeah, I'm totally gonna fuck it up. So if you want to, we're gonna stream live so we can watch from your, cozy home. Okay.
It's true what they say. Once you love, you're gonna lose yourself. And I heard it as many times as summer turns year by year. And just as winter dies and flowers grow, I wanna fall just to feel it once. But every time I try, I'm burning in the water, drowning in a flame. But here I am again, falling, staying, loving, praying, and not what you get from me. Crying, trying, swearing, lying, and not what you pay for me. Breathing, sitting, starving, bleeding, and not what you gave from me. And I'm craving, draining, breaking, and not what you take from me. Trust, they always say, it's hard not to fear for yourself. But once you meet the one, the epic love, you forget to care. But the wind will start to blow and raindrops fall. One day you will fear again. And fear of losing, you'll betray for us. Darling, means to late for instead of praying. You know what you get from me. Crying, trying, swearing, lying. You know what you pay for me. Breathing, sitting, starring, bleeding. You know what you take from me. I get up, craving, trading, breaking, breaking. You know what you give to me. And now you're fading like the other time. Fading, always the same ground. Thank you.
You're back in with sound.
And you guys have come to look like each other, four things together.
Until he notices.
I think we're officially finished. No one said it, but I guess that's it. Yeah. What do you want? There's apple some cola, there's some like Yuna, there's fruits. Well, I don't know. This is wanted. There's sugar. Oh, there's and there's Hollander.
Just rest. And we came Friday night. At Barbara. Make sure I'm sharp for that. Hey man, nice to meet you all. Thanks for doing it.
No.
See you there. Do you need? I would offer help, but I don't know how anything is goes. You guys.
It's okay. I have a car here.
Okay. I won't be there tomorrow. I saw the opening. I'm planning at 800. I like that, by the way.
Thanks.
But I'll see. I'll be around. I'll see you.
Okay. Yeah. See you.
Yeah. All right, though.
Ciao.
Yeah. You want to do what? That's fine. You know what you're saying? You know where it's at, right?
kind of a, again, like live stream for Doc to show him like what we're doing.
Okay, but is he in the crowd or in the front or both?
He's in the crowd and helping with this.
Okay, cool.
I think.
So we're gonna be
So we're gonna
playing with it.
Yeah, and we're gonna do just music. Basically, we have Matteo. He's gonna play with a girl, so he's gonna play 4 songs with a girl, 4 songs alone. Then we have this guy, Night Gardener. He calls himself Night Gardener. His name is Oliver, and he's gonna also play a couple of songs, like 2, 3, maybe more. We'll see. And then at the end, I will play 2, 3 songs, like particularly with full set of like looper, keyboards, or like effects.
Okay.
Just to make it a little bit more interesting.
Big setup.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you act.
Yeah?
I remember you had like the electric piano, right? So you'll bring that.
But I didn't use effects on the ukulele and looper before. Now I'm using looper and I'm using effects, so it's like
Roland.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you're practicing together and stuff.
No,
Do
unfortunately not.
you practice together?
Unfortunately not.
Really?
But I wish we would.
Well, you should tell me.
Just not enough time. Like, you know, like we've talked about it. We said like, yeah, let's do music together, but there's not enough time. Just to, yeah, but it's.
You'll get around to it.
Yeah, it's kind of in the plan.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so nuts.
So do you use like a computer?
No, I use effect.
Pedal.
Yeah, kind of like multi-effect, big multi-effect for my ukulele. I have a little keyboard to loop something, and I have a looper to play something back just to mid-life, and then I have a multi-effect.
And the sound on the keyboard, it's all the keyboard, right?
It's just like synthesizer.
What's inside?
Yeah, it's like it's in the keyboard. It's not going to.
Do you use a synthesizer? Like a Nord or something?
It's a small synthesizer, small like. Very, very small.
It's portable.
Just the beginning. I want to buy like a single effect. Which is better than making it like for a beginner to start like this. What I can do with my song.
A lot of songs?
Not so many actually. I have a little bit piano, but I want to make more songs.
No, but I mean written in general.
I have enough to make a song.
No, because each time I see you like play a song, so
Yeah. Oh.
I thought maybe you have like 100. No, you don't have 100?
No, I don't have 100 songs. I actually don't have that many songs right now that I can play. I need to work more. I have a lot of songs in the past that I can play.
Why?
They're
Irrelevant?
old and yeah, and they're not really where I am now, and we don't fit to my project. Well, some of them I want to make, but they're out of the piano. But I finished them.
I like the piano. Actually, the piano that we have there is really good.
Yeah.
Because the guy really knows it.
Yeah.
I also like the sound when it stands on rubber. There's something different in the way it sounds. It's like it's open from under, so there's like the bass is less like you don't have.
It's breathing for the
It's like more hanging in space.
Yeah.
Wasn't it well, I thought actually there was going to be more stuff.
Me too. I feel like it's what people play the most.
same. So it's shared. Correct. Shared a lot. Yeah. But you see, it's hopefully next year when G5 everything is happening. Yeah. G5 and working network of the new transmission protocol that goes quicker, much more. So for me now, sending 80 gig, forget it. You have to go by bicycle and bring them there. Yeah, it's not worth the yeah, no, forget it. One of my old that is better. I can actually send 80 gig. No, you have to go to factory, some co-working spaces, or you go, where's very good is in BlueYard. Yeah, where we work. So BlueYard is very, very quick. So guy from Munich, he gave me also this job like we said earlier, because he told me yes. He's Spanish. I think he's also come to the point. No, but people are making you nervous. The vibe sometimes becomes like when you have to relax yourself and say, I mentioned, and don't forget to mention. What do we have to do? We go together to this place and you talk with I can talk with this person, like the other artists, and then we can introduce them to this kind of idea. That's basically it. I cannot take the pictures. Yeah, of course. And so I really want to do it, but time. Yeah, we can do it every time. It's 24 hours. It's different. I think it's 24 hours. but don't do it too early. 6 o'clock is not working. No. Daytime. It's already goes longer. Well, yeah, but it's still like 4 o'clock. No, you want me to kick? Chris, if my back breaks, I can't do this.
Back breaks.
Yeah. It's my concrete, it's fine. We'll work out. We'll work it out. So if I can give you something to carry.
Hey, right. Come together. You two, come.
I'm still spinal back.
Come and sit.
And it's still hanging.
Anton, sit.
So I posted on live TV a picture and I posted
Anton.
Wait.
Anton. I hope your live stream is that.
Well, it's hanging. It's stuck for like 15 minutes now.
Okay, thank you. Tell me when this happens.
So we keep in touch over Facebook. See when you have time.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
That's nice. More or less.
Interesting. You actually make a pretty good talker. I heard him say today most of the things that he used to repeat in every conversation that I'm having.
Now you have a record and say, okay,
You're not a good listener.
Before you talk again, here's the video.
Well, yeah.
That's better.
You know, have money, content going out and money coming in. How many times have you heard that? Stream content.
We are live streaming the audio, right?
that there.
Yeah, wait. No, I can even get your. Of
course we are.
Okay.
So and this is also
Yeah,
now
don't
yours?
turn the
Oh,
audio.
it's yours. Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the next time he will say, oh, I need this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we're.
Anton and I once had a big argument.
Yeah, I was very pissed at him.
Because I muted the sound.
Every time something stopped,
He's just like, why are you turning it off?
yeah, just keep it rolling.
Why are you turning it off? But then he gets pissed with me because I never turn it off, and he misses his last bus home.
Okay.
So and what tomorrow evening is.
Yeah, do you want to come as audience? Maybe we could fit like eight or nine people in audience.
Yeah,
maybe 10.
No, I have to talk to my brother tomorrow night.
Bring your brother.
I don't want to meet my brother.
Bring your brother.
You don't want to meet my brother?
I'd love to meet your brother.
It's totally different to me.
Okay, so
That means he will ask you, what you can spend for me? Where's the benefit from me? I have to talk to you. He's very
working for me. It's just not refreshing or those people.
Yeah, so maybe the computer. So I need to start packing. And before I
Only one person can watch at a time. If you have a problem with this, talk to Doug.
So when you finish,
that's nice. Nice to know that all my hard work.
Ah. Okay, you can pack this. Because we don't need to amplify it.
We have some packing.
It was nice. Having amplification was nice when talking.
You never asked about cameras anymore. Now you have it. look, I love the red line.
Yeah.
I can like compose it correctly. And
Yeah. So you still live streaming, right?
this the wall.
I wish we could just shut it down.
Yeah. Let's go sleep. Let's go sleep. That's it.
Okay.
Let's just stop. No, just stop streaming.